Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
So we've talked about, through the process of the episodes this week so far, about trying to overcome negativity and how one has a tendency in any given situation to get stuck. And I alluded yesterday to the idea of there are reasons why you get stuck and may want to stay stuck. So I want to go over that because you can't get unstuck until you understand maybe what the fringe benefits are of being stuck, which again sounds a little strange. But for a lot of people, being stuck and complaining about being stuck is accomplishing a goal. It's accomplishing a goal in that you get the attention of being able to complain. Like, oh man, I just wish this was all different. This is such garbage, blah, blah, blah. You get something that happens when folks start to complain with each other called commiserate. And that commiseration feels like camaraderie. It's not, but it feels like it. That kind of complaining and essentially grabbing attention from other people by virtue of stating what you believe to be the facts of a situation and allowing yourself to complain about those things as opposed to taking action is its own type of reward. It's not a strong reward, it's a weak reward, which is why you'll find that most negative people have to complain constantly to kind of get that feedback. If you imagine the rewards that we get in life are almost like a nutritious kind of thing. And complaining and the attention you get from that is like the worst kind of food. You have to eat it all the time. You're going to be stuffing your face with it, and you're never going to feel full. That kind of complaining feeds on itself, and it's easy to get convinced that the complaining itself is a form of taking action. It feeds that attention sort of need, and it feels like activity. So that's one of the reasons people stay stuck. Another reason people stay stuck is a little more insidious, and it's because that fear of change is strong. The fear of taking action and risk is something that most people aren't wired to do. We tend to be risk adverse. This is part of the physiology, right? Anything that could result in you getting hurt or dying is something that most rational people want to avoid. However, that fear oftentimes is overblown. That fight or flight response is overblown because we essentially inflate the threat. If you imagine that these threats that you might perceive to be real are overblown in your head, so now the guy that you have to fight or the situation that you have to overcome is now 10 feet tall, whereas it's not really a fight and it's not really a person and it kind of isn't a big deal. In the darkness of the human mind, we will turn every piece of rope into a dangerous snake. So when we start with that kind of fear mindset, we'll turn all sorts of things that we're afraid of into larger inflated obstacles. And a big part of overcoming that and being able to not do that anymore is to fight those situations, to overcome those challenges, to pursue that conflict, whatever that might be, and survive. If you could imagine the strongest warrior in the world being afraid of a mouse, you think, wow, that's crazy. Like, how could that possibly be? Well, the reality is you might be the strongest warrior in the world, but if you've never fought a mouse, you might be afraid of those things. And then, why would I not be then afraid of the cat or the dog or the bear or the tiger or the elephant? As we start to gain capacity over these fearful things in our life, we begin to build that agency that's of value. So one of those sort of fear responses that's keeping you stuck is this overinflated sense of risk. There are other things that are going to keep you stuck as well, and we'll get into it. They're a little more complicated. There are things like the fear of success. Whoa, what happens if I suddenly become competent? We'll talk more about some of these in the next episode. And again, the whole conversation here this week is about trying to overcome negativity and understanding where it gains root in your mind and how you can get it out. We'll talk more tomorrow.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.